Welcome back. President Trump hinting at potential trade deals last night, saying on Truth Social, we will be releasing a minimum of 7 countries having to do with trade tomorrow morning, with an additional number of countries being released in the afternoon. Joining me now is White House Senior Counsel for Trade and Manufacturing, Peter Navarro, is with me. Peter, welcome back. Great to see you.
Great to be with you, Maria.
So I know you're not going to get ahead of the boss. I know that, but you've been a central voice. Yes, you've been a central voice in shaping the America First trade policy, with the president now signaling more moves. Not necessarily what should we be expecting, because I know you're not going to get ahead of the boss. But what do you think the playing field should be looking like with regard to trade and tariffs at this point, Peter?
Well, let's always keep the big prize in mind. We got an over $1 trillion trade deficit every year, and that costs us jobs and factories. And what President Trump is doing is basically a fundamental structural reset of how the international trade works. And it's going to work now to our advantage rather than their advantage. And so what we're going to see with the tariff regime is tax cuts being paid for to the tune of billions and billions and billions of dollars. We're taking in billions already, and we're going to see, as we are seeing, trillions of dollars of new investment come here. The letters that have gone out already, 14 letters, basically set tariffs between 25 and 40%. What's interesting now is we're in a position where the president has covered over 90% of the trade deficit with a handful of countries. About 150 countries we're dealing with, but only about 15 of them account for well over 90% of the trade deficit. So we're in a very good place. I was listening to Kevin O'Leary earlier in your show, and the markets are absorbing this very well because they understand, as Kevin pointed out, that these are all negotiations as we move in time. I think the key thing here, and why Jay Powell is so wrong about not lowering rates, is to recognize the enormous ability of the world to absorb the tariffs. It's like Navarro's law, like the bigger screw job that we're getting from any given country, right? The more that country is able to absorb the tariffs. The more they cheat us, the more they can absorb the tariffs. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing the tariffs on countries around the world. We're not seeing any inflation because basically they're eating the tariffs. And they're eating it because they cheat us. I mean, Maria, you and I have talked for years about the scope of the cheating, and it's not just China. It's Europe, it's Vietnam, it's Cambodia, it's Japan. It's all the countries that now we have some kind of significant tariffs on. And it's a national security threat when we keep running those big deficits, because it takes away from our asset, it transfers our wealth, and it's basically a shorthand for the export of our jobs and factories and investment abroad. President Trump says, no mas, no more. Don't know what it is in French, but you get my drift.
You just heard Sergio Armati, the CEO of UBS, and while he's talking about a strengthening macro story, he was also talking about clarity and this need for information to understand what the price is. So I think that's why he believes some companies are not making the investments that they ought to be making right now in terms of R&D and infrastructure, et cetera. So do you think we are going to get clarity, say, by the end of the summer in terms of what countries are paying what price, what the tariffs look like? Because the uncertainty of it, he believes, and others do as well, is what's keeping some businesses from investing today.
Well, if I were a market analyst instead of working at the White House, it would be very simple for me to have clarity on all of this. I would simply look at all the different countries. I'd look at the size of the trade deficit that the U.S. runs with those countries, and I would be able to be very easily calibrate where the optimal tariff would likely land, given President Trump's insistence that we have a level playing field and that we reduce or eliminate our trade deficit for national security reasons. So I think that there's tremendous clarity right now. The president has been very clear about what the goal is and how he's going to get there. There's been We had the initial reciprocal tariffs.
Yeah.
We rolled back to give folks time. And now letters have gone out which calibrate more. So I think there's plenty of clarity. And by the way, I don't know what UBS is doing, but I'm seeing trillions of dollars of investment come into this country because of the tariffs.
Yeah, we talked about that as well.
Because of the tariffs.
And I just mentioned the president has brought wealth back to America, but you're right. Just when you look at the revenue generated from the tariffs, you're talking about hundreds of billions annualized as well, if you want to annualize it. But let me get your take on what President Trump is doing in terms of pressuring American companies to bring manufacturing back home. Apple is front and center. Peter, you've gone after the CEO, Tim Cook, for not moving production out of China fast enough. I want to get your take on how they're responding, but that was exactly what I thought of when President Trump talked last night about upwards of 200% tariffs on pharmaceuticals, because we learned a hard lesson during COVID when the Chinese propaganda machine came out with those tweets saying, well, maybe we won't send the pharmaceutical components to America that they need right now. Maybe they'll just get sick. We cannot rely on an adversary for something as important as pharmaceuticals. So I understand the president's thinking on that. But what about somebody like an Apple who makes phones?
Well, look, Apple is sui generis, right? We go back to 2017, 2018, and we're putting tariffs on China, and Tim Cook is coming to the White House just begging, pleading to give him more time. That was how many years ago? And so the problem is that Apple has, it's like too big to tariff in some sense, and it's used that line. Yeah. So the president has been very clear, and I don't think you can judge the rest of industry by Apple. So let's see what happens, but Apple's got the message now. They'll move faster. They can do it. AI, advanced manufacturing, they can do it.
Real quick, Peter, I know you wrote an op-ed on Jay Powell, and you said he's running to be the worst Fed chair of them all. Would you like to see Jay Powell step down?
I'd like to see the Federal Reserve immediately begin lowering interest rates on July 29th. And the case is in the op-ed on the Hill. There's one out in the Washington Times that does the numbers. Great being with you, Maria. Just always enjoy this.
Always. Peter, thank you. Peter Navarro. We'll be right back. Stay with us.